All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. My name is Alexis Miller, and I'll be your yoga instructor today. So, this is our crown chakra class, which is part of our full body awakening series on my YouTube channel, Wildly Yonder Media. So, this is the third practice in this little mini series within the larger series. So, we've got one more crown chakra hatha practice after this, and that'll be our last one for this full chakra series. So, if you've been with me from the beginning, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, welcome in. So nice to have you. So today is a yin class. We're going to be going a lot slower, sitting in the postures for a bit longer, really moving that fascia and getting into our muscles, giving them the chance to really open up. As always, as we get into the practice, say, notice where your boundaries are. If you're ready to extend into postures, go ahead. If you want to modify and kind of pull back a bit, that's great too. Also, keep in mind to don't often cue water. So, if and when you feel thirsty, please feel free to step off the mat, grab that drink, and join us whenever you feel ready. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and come into a comfortable position. Your legs can be crossed or straight out in front of you. I'm sitting up on a block. It does make it easier to sit for a little bit longer, and we will be in our quiet open for just a little bit longer here today as we start to kind of tune in and slow down into that crown chakra space today. So you may want to find a block. You can also find a prop like a bolster, whatever works best for you here. Okay. We're going to root into the sits bone. So wiggling back and forth. And then we'll sit up nice and tall, lengthening through the spine. Let's inhale as we draw those shoulders forward and up. Exhale as we drop them back and down. One more time. Inhale, the shoulders come forward and up. Exhale, we drop them back and down. Find a comfortable spot for your hands, whether on your knees, palms up or down, or in your lap. You're welcome to close the eyes if you'd like, or simply find an unmoving point and soften your gaze here today. In the yogic tradition, there are 7 chakras which reside in the subtle body and are interconnected with the physical body. The crown chakra is important because it's where we experience bliss absolute, transcendence, and enlightenment. Here we experience full consciousness. We become completely awake. It relates to the element of thought and understanding. It is out of this chakra that we reach understanding and find meaning in all things. This chakra is linked with the 5th level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is summed up as self-fulfillment needs like self-actualization and fulfilling one's potential. Here at the top of this hierarchy of needs, we discover why meeting the requirements for physiological, safety, community, and esteem needs is so important. How can we transcend the self-limiting beliefs and perceptions of separation if we don't feel fulfilled in each of these areas? Now, we can turn our attention fully toward the pursuit of living our lives to their fullest expressions, whatever that means for each of us. When we live from this place, we're deeply connected to our joy and peace. It's here that we begin to see and understand the bigger picture for our own lives and how we fit into the collective consciousness. And we discover that it matters. Today, I invite you to feel into your crown chakra. As you move through the postures, see if you can bring your awareness to each breath and every moment. So, settling in, taking a deep inhale through the nose, filling the belly, lungs, and chest with air, and slowly exhaling that breath back out. Taking another deep inhale, fill the belly, lungs, and chest with air. And slowly exhaling that breath back out. Take another deep inhale as you feel that belly expanding outward like a big balloon. And then exhale as you draw that belly button in toward your spine. Inhale as you feel your torso expand, your collarbones gently lift. Exhale as you feel the shoulders release down and away from the ears. Inhaling air in your nose, down your throat, filling the lungs. And then exhale as you squeeze that air out of the lungs, move it up the throat and out the nose. Continue breathing this way, inhaling and exhaling with intention, really noticing that movement of the breath. Tune into to that crown chakra space. See if you can feel into that breath as it moves in and out of the head. Inhaling, coming in through the crown chakra, down the spine, all the way to the root chakra in the pelvis. And then exhale, moving from the pelvis up the spine and then out through the crown of the head. Just feeling into this, testing it out, noticing how it feels. Now, if the mind gets distracted by thoughts, noises, physical sensations, that is okay. It happens. The moment you've noticed you've gone away, see if you can turn the attention back to the breath, back to the inhales and the exhales. If it feels right for you, perhaps incorporating a mantra to help you stay grounded and focused here. Inhale, I am. Exhale, awake. Inhale, I am. Exhale, awake. Remaining here with your breath in whatever way best supports you for a few more moments to start off our practice today. Notice if the mind has wandered off. Bring it back to the breath, back to the inhales and exhales. Doing a quick check-in with your spine, shoulders shrugged down, gently reaching through the crown of the head, chin slightly tucked. Checking in once again. The mind has wandered. Bring it back to the breath. Using your mantra, if that feels right for you, to stay grounded and focused here. When you feel ready, taking a deep inhale, setting an intention or a purpose for your practice today, which really can be anything at all, but it often answers the question, why did I get on my mat? Take a nice deep inhale as you feel that intention with your heart and mind. Then exhale the breath out, set the intention off to the side, knowing we'll return to it toward the end of our practice. Lovely work here. Go ahead and come up off the prop if you are using one of those. And we're going to come into a seated position here, extending our legs straight out in front of us. So our feet are gently flexed here. We're rooted into the sits bones. Legs are zipped up. We're long through the spine. We're going to inhale, sweep those arms up overhead. Exhale, come into a very shallow fold here. Drag those hands along the mat or the legs, coming back up into neutral. Inhale, arms sweep up and wide. Exhale, shallow forward fold. Drop the arms, run them along the mat or the legs. Last time. Inhale those arms forward and up. And then exhale, sinking forward with the heart center. Drop those hands down to the mat or the legs, coming into your seated forward fold. Now you have a couple options here. You're welcome to stay just like this. Hands can be gently pressing into the mat or the legs for support. If you can reach the feet, you're welcome to hold them. Now, we're keeping ourselves long through the spine, reaching through the crown of the head, and we're really feeling that opening through the back of the legs into the hips and the low back here. Now, you may not be able to get very low to start off with, but as you exhale, notice how the body starts to open up, and maybe you sink deeper, but also maybe you don't. That's okay. If you have a bolster or a pillow, you're welcome to place that on the legs and gently rest the torso down here where you can. You can also use props like a block. You can place on the high side, on the knees, or on the shins, and gently rest your forehead down here. At the same time, again, really think about reaching that crown of the head forward. So you may need to make some adjustments with these props as you start to sink into the posture a little bit more deeply. We'll be here for just a couple of minutes, really getting into the body here. So finding that comfortable spot for you, chin is tucked long through the spine, and taking a couple deep breaths here. Closing the eyes if that feels good for you. Really tuning into your breath, allowing yourself to settle into this position. Notice where discomfort starts to arise and see if you can spend a few moments with it. Get curious about its presence here. What does it have to tell you? See if you can pinpoint those places of discomfort and notice when you try to get to that epicenter of pain or discomfort, all of a sudden it disappears, maybe even for just a moment. But it's a reminder that we are more than our pain, and our pain is not permanent. Breathing. Making adjustments to your posture as you need, allowing the body to sink deeper as it is ready, not pushing ourselves further than the body is ready today. Noticing where sensation is in the body. Couple more breaths here. Nice full inhale. Exhale, press those hands onto the mat and make your way back up into neutral. Great work. Coming into transition here, leaning back onto your hands, bring the soles of the feet onto the floor, knees in little mountains, and gently windshield wipe those knees back and forth to get a little bit of a release here. Ooh, feeling that in my hips. I'm sure you are as well. So getting some blood flow going back into the hips, back into the legs, little release for the back after that nice long hold. Great work. Now let's go ahead and dive into those hips a little bit more here today. So we're going to go ahead and we'll start with our left leg. You don't have to start with the left, you could do your right, but we're going to bring that left leg so the foreleg is perpendicular to our body here today. Okay. And then we're going to take this right ankle and stack it on top of that right knee. So you'll notice right away there's a big gap between my knee and my ankle. So I'm going to take a block and I'm going to place it beneath the knee and on top of that left foot for some extra support. I am already feeling a very deep stretch here in this fire log posture. Now, if you're like, hey, Alexis, my anatomy just does not work this way, there's no way that I'm getting myself into this position, no problem. A great modification is to come into a crisscross applesauce. Doesn't matter which side you start on. I would say start in kind of the normal side, whatever feels natural for you. Okay. So whether you're in crisscross applesauce or you're in fire log pose, go ahead and find that position. You may want to keep an extra block or a sturdy prop nearby here. So maybe sitting right here in this posture is enough for you. We are diving deep into that right hip to start with. So notice sensation, sitting up nice and tall. Again, feel the spine lengthen, reaching through the crown of the head here. You can stay here. To deepen that posture, you can exhale, hinge at the hips, and begin to bring the heart center forward. Now, mine is just a subtle movement here. It's not very far forward because my body's not quite ready to go that deep. But as again, much like that forward fold, the longer we sit in this posture, the longer that the body has to open up, and we may find that we're able to sink deeper. So starting off here, hands can be on a block for support or out at the sides. They can also be on your body. Noticing here as you sink deeper, maybe it becomes time to remove that prop from underneath the knee. It's an option, it's not a requirement. You don't have to have that super deep sensation the whole time if you don't want. It's up to you. This is your practice. So, wherever you find yourself, taking a few deep breaths here. And we're going right toward that edge of discomfort and stretch pain, right? So we don't want to get into that place where we're in pain, where we need to go see the doctor. But instead, we want to be right on that edge where we're feeling that limit of stretch pain here. So we know that we're opening up our hips here, opening up our body. Remembering you can always pull back if sensation becomes overwhelming. And just as a reminder that you are welcome to breathe into any sensation that is here. So see if you can pinpoint it once again. Find that place in your body where it resides and get curious. Where exactly is it radiating from? What is this discomfort or sensation trying to tell you? What kind of information does it give you about the way you're living your life? And though this feels very root chakra focused, we are lengthening through the spine and energetically reaching through the crown of the head here. So notice here how you can draw that breath in through the head, down the spine, and then bring it back out. And notice how you can inhale in that sense of ease, that sense of welcoming, and exhale out any negativity and any resistance that you have toward this stretch in your hip here. You may notice that you start to sink a little deeper. That is great. It's not a requirement, but adjusting your props and your body as you need to accommodate that difference here. So, wherever you are, let's take a couple more deep breaths here together. Couple more deep breaths here. And inhale, go ahead, press yourself on up into center, being really gentle here. So leaning back, maybe helping your leg off of top, off of the top of the other. Leaning back onto the hands, soles of the feet come together, knees are up in little mountains. And again, finding a release here. So windshield wiping those knees back and forth, just to do a little bit of an opening here. Get some blood flow back into that right hip, back into that whole pelvic region. A little bit of release for the low back here. Really nice work. This is a tough one, so you did great. Awesome. And then coming back into neutral, so we're going to switch sides. So if you did crisscross applesauce, just switch the cross of your applesauce. It should be the way that maybe feels a little off, a little unusual, right? And you can tell that's the side that you don't necessarily favor. And in our case, we're going to go ahead and bring that right leg down in front of us, foreleg perpendicular to the body, and then bring that left ankle and stack it on top of the right knee. So already on this side, my knee is much closer to my foot than on the right side. But of course, I can use a block for support as I need. Hands can also be on a block out in front of you, down on the legs, out to the side, whatever you need. And again, we are really getting into that pelvis and in those hips, but we're also consciously reaching through the spine, lengthening through the crown of the head. Now you can stay up firm right here. I'm really feeling a sensation in my left hip. That's great. You can also deepen the stretch by hinging at the hips, leading with the heart center, staying long through the spine, and folding forward over the leg. Again, this is an option, it's not a requirement. So notice where you're at here. And again, we're reaching toward that place of sensation, right? We don't want to go over where we are getting into pain that makes us feel like we should go to the doctor or the hospital, right? Instead, we're coming right up to that edge. We're really feeling that deep sensation. If it becomes too much, it's overwhelming. You feel like you're doing too much. Listen to your cues of your body. You know best whether or not conscious mind acknowledges it. You can always feel free to pull back if you'd like. Okay. But notice here too, as you sit, the body starts to open up. So we start to want to sink a little bit deeper into the posture. Okay. So see if you can engage that core, maintain that long spine while at the same time allowing yourself to maybe sink a little bit deeper into those postures. Coming back into that nice deep breath here. And as the body starts to adjust, starts to get used to this opening, you may need to adjust the body, adjust your posture or your props as needed. So wherever you are, let's take a few nice long deep breaths here together. Few more deep breaths here. On the next inhale, let's go ahead and press ourselves on up into center. Again, moving props out of the way, gently helping that left foot off of the right, gently leaning back onto the hands for our transition here. Soles of the feet come to the floor, knees are up in little mountains, and then gently windshield wipe those knees back and forth. Ooh, that was a doozy here. So taking your time, really getting into the hips, allowing that blood flow to start to go again, being really gentle with yourself, opening up that low back, yeah, getting movement in the legs, maybe rolling the ankles if that feels good in one direction than the other. And just finding a little movement that feels good for you. Great. All right. Now we're going to come into shoulder stand. This is not a traditional yin posture, but it is one that helps us connect with our chakra, our crown chakra space. We will not be in it for several minutes. We're going to hold it for a few breaths here. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you have any injuries in the spine, in the neck, if you have high blood pressure, any kind of issues with the head or the skull, please do feel free to skip this posture. You can either fast forward or just to take a few moments and do some stretches that feel nice for you. You can also lay down on the mat and take a little mid yoga break here if that feels good for you. So just keeping in mind your boundaries here today. Okay. So coming into our shoulder stretch here, we're going to come, or our shoulder stand. So sorry, we're going to come down onto our back. And we're going to start with our hands down by either side of our body, knees kind of tucked in and hovering over the body here. We'll inhale and we'll lift those legs up toward the sky. So we're creating an L with our body. Okay. Now, when you feel ready, we're going to start to lower those legs toward our torso until we can't bring them down anymore. And then we'll press into the hands and lift ourselves up onto our backs. So you notice how I'm kind of hovering here. We're then going to bend at the elbows and bring our hands to our low back here. Now, you can also take this to plow pose, touching those toes down above the head if you'd like to stay here. The weight is across the shoulders, that upper back, it's not in the neck. And the gaze stays looking straight up toward the ceiling here, or in this case, the legs. Now, if you want to take into shoulder stand, maybe lift one leg, you could do it modified here or the other, or lift both legs. Now, allow those elbows to prop up, hands are on the low back, and then really reach those fingers or toes, sorry, up toward the sky, bringing your weight so it's balancing across the very tops of the shoulders. It is very important to keep that chin tucked, looking straight up toward the toes. So taking a couple breaths here wherever you are, inhaling and exhaling. Coming out of this posture whenever you feel ready, slowly lowering down to the floor, one vertebrae at a time, being very mindful of the neck, of the back here. If you're still in the posture, still balancing in this shoulder posture here, shoulder stand. Feel that blood draining out of the legs. Another deep breath here. Inhale. Exhale, go ahead, lower one leg so it's overhead, and then the other coming into plow to help you transition, and then lowering down to the mat, slowly rolling one down one vertebrae at a time, really caring for your body here. Ooh, allowing those hips to be the last thing that comes down to the mat. Bend the knees, drop the soles of the foot to the floor. We'll do a little counter posture here. Gaze stays straight toward the sky. Inhale, press into the feet, lift the hips, coming into your bridge posture. Good. Squeezing those thighs toward the midline. Hip bones are reaching up toward the sky. Core and glutes are engaged here. We take a nice deep inhale. And then we exhale, go ahead and lower down onto the mat. You're welcome to tuck the knees into the chest if you'd like. Little roly-poly action, little low back release if that feels good for you. Notice the options here. All right, getting ready for our last posture. This is a nice little opener in the back and in the hips. Once again, I invite you to grab your props, whether that's pillows or your blocks here. So soles of the feet are on the floor. We're going to come into our recline bound angle posture. So allow the knees to fall out wide. Soles of the feet can come together. Now, this may be too much on those hips right away and on that low back. So using your blocks, I'm going to start with the medium side and place them underneath the knees to help support that opening here. Hips are tucked under, so as much of that spine as you can get is on the mat here. Okay. Arms can be out to the sides. I highly recommend arms out wide, palms open, armpits open as well, coming into this ultimate space of opening here. Okay. So much like our hatha yoga class, our feet are pressed together. We are long through the spine. And even though we're laying on our back, we're still reaching through the crown of the head. That chin is slightly tucked. You're welcome to close the eyes here. And as we come into this nice opening posture here, start to feel into that openness of the body as well as that openness of the spirit here. So this is a great posture for welcoming in whatever it is you need, welcoming in your experience of this moment without judgment, without trying to change it in any way. Welcoming the breath in whatever rhythm or cadence it shows up in. As you feel yourself rest here, notice yourself melting down into the surface beneath you. See if you can really tune into this space and imagine that there is no separation between you and everything around you. Instead, it is all one because you're this spacious openness. You're this welcoming, this awareness that is fully awake for each and every moment as it arises. Allowing yourself to be fully present right here, noticing sensations from the body and adjusting blocks or getting rid of them as you need, as the body sinks deeper into this posture. Now, you're welcome to stay here for final relaxation. You could also extend one leg or the other for fallen tree, or extend both legs for traditional final relaxation. Finding that comfortable spot for the hands, whatever that looks like. You're also welcome to roll onto one side or the other. You can also lay on your belly if that feels good for you. Or you can return to a seated posture and treat this final part of our practice like a seated meditation. Noticing what feels right for your body here and making your way into that position. And staying tuned into that openness, that spaciousness. Simply welcoming each and every moment as it arises here. No need to change anything, to do anything. Rest easy, knowing that this time is dedicated to simply being who you are, just as you are, right in this moment. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. If the mind wanders off and gets caught up in thoughts, noises, physical sensations, come back to the breath. Come back into this space of awareness, being fully awake and present to each moment. If it's helpful, you can always reincorporate that mantra we used at the beginning of practice. Inhale, I am. Exhale, awake. Inhale, I am. Exhale, awake. Remaining here with your breath in whatever way best supports you for just a few more moments today. I'm going to get quiet for this final part of practice so you can have it to yourself. Please know that I'm watching the time and I respect yours, and I will let you out of this posture before the end of practice. So lean back, let go, just rest right here. With mindfulness, the practice of peace, we can begin to transform the wars within ourselves. Bringing your awareness back to this space, taking a deep inhale through the nose, filling the belly, lungs, and chest with air, and slowly exhaling that breath back out. Taking another deep inhale as you begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes, move the arms and legs, gently waking your body up. When it feels right for you, rolling onto one side, pausing there with an arm or a hand beneath the head. It's here that I invite you to bring back to mind your intention or your purpose that you set at the beginning of your practice. Answer the question, why did I get on my mat? Take another deep inhale as you make your way on up into a seated position, and we close out our practice together today. So finding your comfortable seat, rooting into the sits bones, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, we draw the shoulders forward and up. Exhale, we drop them back and down. Hands come into a comfortable position, whether on the legs, in the lap, or at heart center. Closing the eyes if that feels comfortable for you. We take a moment to express gratitude for yet another lovely day here on earth and our bodies that allow us to do so many things, including yoga. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through this practice today. It was a joy and an honor, and I hope to be able to do so again in the future. The light in me, it sees the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this Crown Chakra Yin class, which is part of the mini Crown Chakra series. That's part of the full body awakening series here on my channel. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and share it with someone else who you think might enjoy this practice. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Wild Blue Yonder Media. You can also find me on Instagram at Wild Blue Yonder Yoga. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week. There is one more practice in this mini series that will wrap up the entire full body awareness series. So make sure to tune in so you can get all of that great stretching. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next practice. Bye.